How can we find hope and humor for the holidays? That's the topic we're going to be discussing today on this very special episode of Flourish-Meant. Today, I have two friends who are amazing guests. I have with me Andy Clapp, who is an author, speaker, and literary agent with the Kyle Agency. He loves to share the message of the cross, and he is the senior pastor at Mount Zion Baptist Church. I have with me also the gorgeous and amazing Michelle Medlock Adams, who is a much sought after speaker. She is the best-selling author of over 100 award-winning books, and she sold 4 million plus of those books. Together, Andy and Michelle have co-authored the Christmas Devotional, Hope and Humor for the Holidays. Welcome, Andy and Michelle. I am so delighted to have you on Flourish-Meant today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Tina. It's great to be here.
In this second half of our conversation with the amazing, insightful Andy Clapp and the gorgeous and successful Michelle Medlock Adams, we're going to dive into some practical ways that you can stir the seasonings of the season of hope and humor into your holidays where you are. So tell us what we could do to start with practical ways that we can start centering our hope on the right things and bringing humor into our holiday experience.
One of the great ones I saw, to be honest with you, is I saw this a few years ago and we started doing it. We instituted it at our church. If you start on December 1st reading one chapter of the Gospel of Luke, you are finished on Christmas Eve. And yeah, because there's 24 chapters in Luke.
Oh, that's cool.
And so if you read one chapter of Luke, which, you know, obviously the beginning of Luke is Mary's visit with Gabriel's visit with Mary, and then you go all the way through the crucifixion, resurrection, everything. Then on Christmas morning, you have covered the ministry of Jesus from the Gospel of Luke. That is a great way to really get it centered. And having a devotional that will make you laugh, make your sides hurt, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it's worth the time because it does pull you back to Jesus in the season.
I think a tip I would give is, especially with kids and now my grandkids, we always have done more for our kids than we probably should have, and we like to spoil them. But my girls are good girls. Now they're moms themselves and wonderful wives, and they're successful in their careers. Only by the grace of God, all that happened. But one of the things I think we did right, because it stemmed from my dad, is dad was real big on making sure that we understood, yes, we're blessed and we will do gifts, but that Jesus is the real gift. And one of my favorite things we always did, and we still do this with our family, is in the midst of all the craziness and the white elephant gifts and my mother's fudge that my sister has perfected now, and those chocolate oatmeal cookies and all the bad stuff we're not supposed to eat, but the rest of the year, but on Christmas Eve, it doesn't matter. You can just eat all that. In the midst of all that, we will sit all the family, whoever's there. And sometimes it's people that they're not blood related, but we just pull them in off the street. Just come be with us. We'll have a big group, and one of us will read the Christmas story. And sometimes we'll read a children's book Christmas story, but we always read from the Bible. Sometimes we'll be a double hitter, and other times it'll just be from the Bible. And I mean, I just remember one thing that my dad would make us do, and I say make because when I was a little kid, I'm like, can we just get to opening of the gifts? Because they would let us open one gift every Christmas Eve. So I was like, all this had to come first, and then we got to open one gift. So as a little kid, you're a little distracted. But dad would have everybody go around and say one thing that they were so thankful for in the year prior to that Christmas. And, you know, by the time it got through everybody, it'd been a while. There's like 30 of us. And I was so filled up with just joy and love and blessings from just hearing everybody's little testimony service, that as I got older, the gifts, they were like such a secondary thing. That was the gift. The reading of the Christmas story and hearing what God had done in people's lives that year, even if it had been a tough year, there is nothing more exciting than that, especially when the people you love the most in your life who are gathered there with you. So I would say, just like Andy, focus on what's really meaningful, and maybe if you don't have a tradition like that, maybe institute one of those this year, starting to read that Christmas story, and maybe everybody go around and say what they're thankful for.
What are some ways that we can deal with loss and pain and suffering and hardships in a way that still allows us to have the joy of the Lord, even if we're not in a place that's happy?
So I talked about the grief that stole Christmas instead of the Grinch. We talk about that a little bit in this. Anytime it's a first, that's difficult. The first anything, the first birthday, the first Christmas, the first holiday season is just difficult, especially if that person was a big Christmas lover. And pretty much everybody is. It was hard with my mom. I remember looking at that. I wrote an article called The Empty Chair once, because that Christmas dinner, that her chair where she always sat was empty. It liked to kill me. I couldn't fake my way through it. And that year we went to Florida for Christmas because I couldn't face the empty chair. I think you do what you have to do in the natural. Make sure you're getting enough rest and make sure you're hydrated and taking your vitamins, and that you're surrounding yourself with people, that you're not, alone. Those are important things. But in the spiritual realm, it's okay to grieve. It says in the word in Ecclesiastes that there's a time to grieve. There's a time for tears, but not to just camp there, and to use this season to remember the good times. There's so many fun Christmas memories I have with my mom and my brother-in-law who passed away of COVID in 2020. I have so many fun memories of people who've already gone on to heaven. And then when you think about the fact that they get to celebrate Christmas with Jesus, like, I'm kind of jealous, really. Like, they're waking up and being like, hey, Merry Christmas, Jesus. Like, that's a happy birthday, man. That's like, they're there and we're still here. So to be happy for them, that's also one of those kind of heart shifts where you just say, I'm so happy for them. Of course we miss them. And we always honor them. We'll tell Mama stories, and we'll tell Pastor Jan stories. He was our pastor too, at Christmas, more so than the rest of the year, it seems like, because we're all together. And then like our brother-in-law Jan, he would always fix amazing, best breakfast ever on Christmas. And none of us are very good cooks, really. My sister's pretty good, but Jan was the best at breakfast. So, we've carried that tradition on. Now we're not as good on the biscuits as he was, but those are things that we continue to do. Make my mom's chocolate oatmeals, read the Christmas story like my dad did. We make that big old Christmas holiday breakfast like Jan did. And we remember them, we honor them that way. All the while, it's okay to feel sad and to talk about it. And you might even shed some tears, but just being happy for them where they are. I think that helps just get through those first seasons. But here's the other thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If you are desperate and you are struggling, I've been there. Don't go into a corner by yourself and retreat and watch 5 million holiday movies by yourself. That is the wrong thing to do. Reach out to those people in your circle and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. And just go to lunch with other people who are joyful. It'll rub off on you. It'll help you.
Are there some things, in addition to things that we should do, that we should avoid, that we should stop doing, things that people tend to do that aren't healthy and that don't lend themselves to having hope during the holidays?
I would say, yeah, feeling like you have to overspend. You don't mortgage the rest of your life for a gift that's going to probably be forgotten in 6 months. And that's one of the things, honestly, I think that breeds hopelessness, is the January bill statement coming in. You can't buy Christmas and you can't buy family, but just being together is one of the most important things, because that's going to drain hope out of you. And it comes from our consumerism mentality. But here's the thing, the greatest gift of Christmas is not in a box. It was in a manger. And the greatest gift of Christmas you've got are those who are around you. And so avoid the feeling that you have to buy or wow somebody. Wow them with Jesus. That's the wow factor of Christmas, is that God would send his son to come to the earth, to a broken earth, a completely shattered earth, and that he would come because of us. To put the broken back together, that he would come to the outcast, that he would come to the overlooked. That's the beauty of it. And so often we're driving ourselves crazy in the Christmas season because we're trying to do all these things that, honestly, it's not adding anything. It's just taking away. Joy is something you can't buy, but it's something that can be found, and it can be found in Jesus. That baby in a manger brought joy.
I'll add to that. I think one of the best Christmases we've ever had at our house with our immediate family was a year when both Abby and Allie were at out-of-state colleges. So that was expensive. That was a very expensive year. We'd moved one to Los Angeles and one to Palm Beach, Florida. And look, we were working our guts out to try to pay for everything, And so Christmas that year, Jeff and I just said, look, we're not buying each other gifts. And the girls are going to get a couple of things for their dorm rooms, but they're going to go to college, and we're going to pay for it. They're going to be debt free. They're going to have to get student loans, and we all understood that. But what Jeff did, which was, for me, this would not be as special because I'm a writer. So for me to write a letter and tell you how much I love you, I mean it, but it comes easier for me. But Jeff's a CPA. My husband is not a writer. So for him to write a 2.5-page letter to me, that took some love and some time and some thought. I still have that letter in my Bible. That was one of my favorite gifts he ever gave me, because I knew how much time he'd invested in, and that everything he wrote with all the scratched out words and everything, he meant them. He really, and it was the most precious gift ever. And so I think we do put too much focus on the big wowie gifts. And then we post on Facebook, look at the ring my husband got me. You know what? That is not what this is about. It is about so much deeper things and that time together. And I'm so grateful that I have family to celebrate with. I mean, I get both my girls this year. I just share them with in-laws now. They're both coming to my house this year. I am ecstatic. I told them that's the biggest gift you've given me. You have to buy me one thing, just that you're all going to be at my house. I get those grandkids Christmas morning. That is the best gift ever. So celebrate those things. And if you have to have Christmas morning on the 27th because you have to share this year with your in-laws, that's okay. Kids don't even know what day it is. You just take each moment and celebrate it, and then focus on the one who gave us this time together. That will bring joy and hope and humor this holiday season. It'll put the focus on the right things.
What's one last takeaway message that you would like to make sure that everyone hears this holiday season?
Well, for me, it would be that, hope came, and that hope is a very real thing. So often when we talk about it in our language, it's something that's almost like a dream. But hope in the Christian faith is a reality. It is the hope, and Jesus is the hope. And honestly, I hope everyone has the best season ever, because you have a reason to. If you know Christ, then you have a reason to have the most amazing season of worship in your life, because you were on his mind when he came. You were in his heart as he drew those first breaths here on earth, and you absolutely were there. And one of the great things about it, I think what just uplifts me about the Christmas season is think about the ones that he came to. And the shepherds always get me, because there they are, and they're off, and they're living life. And, in a lot of ways they weren't wanted. Those are the first ones that God would send a messenger to and said, hey, come look at this. And this season, let it be the come and see season. Come and see what God has done.
I mean, that's it. That's the message of the book. And then maybe lastly is, if you have that joy, you need to share it. Like, the best gift you could give anybody in your town, your vicinity, strangers, doesn't make a difference. If they don't know that little boy that came in the manger as their Lord and Savior, if they don't know him this season, that's the very best gift that you could give them. And this is a time when it's not always easy to have that conversation with people, but people are a little more open to that kind of conversation around the holidays. So I just pray for those openings. I mean, I'm praying over people in the frozen section of the grocery store. I don't care. People think, because that I know that's going to be a gift that will keep on giving. You can't ever outgive Jesus. And so make sure that you reach outside of your circle and offer Jesus to those who might not know the real reason for this season. If you know it, it's your duty as a believer to go out and share that. And I promise you that will bring you the best joy ever.
This has been such a wonderful conversation. I love talking about Christmas and how God brought the light of the world into the darkest places, to the poorest people in the most unexpected moment, and that he can do that for us too. So how can people spend time with you online and get in touch with you, and then get a copy of the Christmas Devotional, Hope and Humor for the Holidays?
You can find me on Facebook, and we actually live stream our sermons every week. So check in with us every week, because we're going to have an awesome Christmas season this year. And you can get a copy of the book at Amazon, or at In-Game Press, or at Christian Books. What is it? Christian Book Distributors?
ChristianBook.com, I think. Yeah,
ChristianBook.com. So you can get them from all three of those places.
And then I'm Michelle Medlock Adams, 2L Michelle .com, MichelleMedlockAdams.com, or IN stands for Indiana. That's where I live. IN Writer Girl on all social media platforms. And tell them the name of your church, Andy, so they can find you online. It's Mount Zion.
Mount Zion. Yeah, Mount Zion Baptist Church in Liberty, North Carolina.
It's a good one.
I hope that all of you listening enjoyed this conversation about hope and humor for the holidays. And I hope that you will check out this new Christmas devotional by Andy Clapp and Michelle Medlock Adams. And of course, I also hope that you hit subscribe and come back for the next episode of Flourish-Meant.